KNON 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to KNON.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.
Good morning, it's the Workers Beat. I'm Gene Lantz and
Mathias.
And we're here to talk about working people and stuff that working people do and stuff that working people need to know about. Yes. For example, today the Catholic Charities, Immigration and Legal Services Office is going to host the Nuns on the Bus. The Nuns on the Bus are these nuns, the Catholic nuns, who are taking a bus trip all the way across the United States.
They're pretty cool.
Right now they're having a rally in Houston, and when they get on the bus to come to Dallas, I think that's when they're going to call here. So we're hoping to hear from the nuns on the bus. And the meeting with them today, the big public event, will be at 3 p.m. at the Catholic Charities Legal Services, 9461 LBJ Freeway. I think that's the Abrams exit.
Yeah, I don't know.
And the northeast corner of the Abrams exit. Anyway, it's 9461 LBJ Freeway, Dallas, Texas, 75243. Nuns on the Bus.
These ladies are famous.
Yeah, they are. And what a cause that they're working on to try to liberate some 11 million undocumented workers and from the worst kind of treatment of any workers in the United States. So also at 3 o'clock at the exact same time, you can celebrate the life of Medgar Evers at the Pan-African Connection. 828 4th Avenue, Dallas, Texas, 75226. It's over by Fair Park. So if you take this, if you're on Highway 30 and going east, and you take 2nd Avenue, when you go over that kind of a hump, you can see it down there to your right. So don't despair. It's really not that hard to find.
No, and if you're going west, take the 1st Avenue exit, and it splits, and you'll want to go to the one that points to Fair Park, and it'll take you around under the bridge, and you'll see it on your left.
So it's certainly not that hard to find.
No.
But the address, if you use your GPS, is 828 4th Avenue. Here's the telephone number for the Pan-African Connection, 214-943-8262. I'll give it one more time, 214-943-8262. Another thing that's coming up will be on Wednesday, June the 19th at 9 o'clock. They're going to form in Fort Worth a new chapter of the Texas Alliance for Retired Americans. And this will be at the CWA Hall. That's your union, Bonnie. CWA Hall 6201, CWA 6201. And the address is 421 South Adams in the Hospital District of Fort Worth. It's almost downtown, right?
Yes.
Very Jim close. Rivers is Vice President of the Texas Alliance for Retired Americans, and he'll be forming a new chapter there.
That's excellent.
That's stuff that's coming up. Got anything else, Bonnie? You want to talk about your church tomorrow? You have church tomorrow?
Yes, we have church every Sunday.
This is the only church I know of that takes place in the Union Hall.
Yep, and I think it's pretty cool.
And it's a place for workers to go.
That's right.
If they're not comfortable in the Union Hall, where would they be comfortable?
Yeah, and everybody's welcome. 1408 North Washington, and we meet at 10:30 a.m.
10:30 a.m. at 1408 North Washington,
and Reverend L. Charles Stovall.
If you haven't heard Reverend Stovall, you haven't been to church yet.
I'm telling you.
All right.
He got thrown out of Walmart last week, you know?
Yes, he did.
I love it. Dr. Rieger.
He and the other ministers.
Dr. Rieger, Pastor Stovall. Yep, they all got thrown out of Walmart.
They didn't get thrown out until the prayer was done, though.
Which is nuts.
The manager and the police all just stood there while the prayer was going on.
And then they threw them out.
That was last Saturday.
Yeah, that was good.
And yesterday at Walmart, the United Auto Workers took a hand which really tickled me because really they don't have anything to do with Walmart. They're not organizing Walmart or anything. This is just concern of brothers and sisters for other brothers and sisters. So yesterday I understand that UAW 276, which is the General Motors local, over in, it's actually in Grand Prairie, but everybody calls it the Arlington local, and they went to two Walmarts in southern Grand Prairie and leafleted and talked to the workers there and to the customers and, of course, to the managers, too, I guess.
Of course.
I'm not too sure how it all came out. If anybody knows, call us at 972-647-1893. I do know how it came out at Cockrell Hill because I was there with UAW Local 848, led by President Romeo Munoz, and some of the really outstanding members of UAW Local 848, including Pete Jimenez and Gerardo Contreras, Billy Brown. They had 5 or 6 from Local 848. Job with Justice showed up with about 4, and Workers Defense Project showed up with a couple.
Good.
So we had a little over 10, 11 people. And so we divided our forces. Half of us stood out in the parking lot and talked to the customers and got petitions signed because there's petitions where the customers ask Walmart to treat their workers better. The rest of us, including me, went inside and got a shopping cart and just pushed an empty shopping cart around while we looked for people that worked there. We gave them little slips of paper that basically just said thank you for standing up to Walmart, and thank you for being part of this big organizing drive that makes so much difference for America. So we did all that. Then most of us came out, and at that time President Romeo Munoz and coordinator from the Job with Justice, Rosemarie Rieger, went in together with a bunch of petitions. They had about 49 pages before they even started.
Oh, good.
Then they had some more from the petitioning that day.
That's a busy store.
They took that into the manager, and the manager said yes, he would pass this on up. Nobody got busted.
Yay.
Nobody was thrown out.
That's so nice. Wow, that's
People talked
nice.
to the guards, but they were on their way out when they talked to them, so it wasn't a really big problem.
Good.
And another thing, people always ask, well, how were you received? How did the customers and how did the workers receive you? What did they think? And it was very, very positive.
Good.
I saw Juan Carrasco was actually just stopping workers and talking to them at length, as long as they would talk to him. I didn't do that. I just walked around and I'd when I'd see an employee, I would go over to him or her and hand them the leaflet and say, join the association and get a raise. That's the standard line for organizers.
Right.
Join us and get a raise.
Stand up, live better.
Uh-huh.
That's it.
So, and they were very, very positive.
Good.
I don't think anybody reported anything negative happening either among the employees or the customers or even the manager. He just took the material, and I think he knew that we were all already out of the store.
You think? Well, and Walmart's running a huge advertising campaign.
Yes, they are.
Talking about how great they are and how you can get money for tuition and go to school while you're working and advance up the ladder. But actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
And I don't know where those employees are, because they're certainly not in any of the stores where I've been. You can't go to school and work and expect to raise a family on an average wage of $8.81 an hour.
So it's all hype. They are certainly doing a lot of hype and making it sound really good. But and big corporations do that. After all, they own all the radio stations and all the television stations and all the book producers and everything else, except KNON.
That's right.
And just a handful like us that might not go along with them.
Yeah.
But they are doing a big campaign, and they do have a certain amount of things to offer. Our problem with Walmart is the way they treat their employees.
Yeah.
We want the employees to have full-time jobs with benefits and decent pay, and they don't. They're pretty much all part-timers.
Yeah.
And they have to worry about whether or not they're going to get hours, whether or not they're going to be scheduled next week or not.
Whether or not they're going to be able to afford the premiums for their insurance.
And a system like that is just open to abuse.
Oh, yeah.
Even if the company doesn't intend it, if a manager decides whether or not you're going to work next week, that manager is able to exact a whole lot of stuff from a worker.
And I mean, literally,
the company may not have intended.
it could destroy someone's life if you think about it. You know.
Call us and let us know what you think. It's 972-647-1893. Mostly talking about Walmart so far today. We're going to talk about immigration later on. You know, that's a touch button issue.
Yes.
People tend to react with their feelings about the immigration issue rather than trying to figure out, what we're going to do as a nation.
Yes. Yes.
I've had a lot of calls on immigration on this program.
Oh boy.
And not all positive.
Yeah. I remember a few shows where I had some pretty heated comments about sending people home and blah blah blah.
Well, there's other stuff that we need to get to. Big things that are going on, particularly with the National Labor Relations Board.
Oh my goodness.
The cry is going up from the communication workers. They're saying, "Give me 5." Everybody's saying, "Give us 5." And what they mean by that is that there are 5 nominees to the National Labor Relations Board. President Obama has nominated 5, and of course the Senate some of the senators just come right out and say, "I don't want anybody to get on the National Labor Relations Board." They're hoping to just gut it, to just end it, and
do away with it.
And they don't like it because it legitimizes workers and workers' complaints and workers' processes.
Right.
So they want to get rid of it completely and just let the corporations run all over us. That's just some of them. But there's enough of them that they have not been able to get any appointments through the regular process for some time. President Obama appointed some in what they call recess appointments, and that's been challenged now by the courts.
Yes, the obstructionists said that they were not in recess.
Yeah, a lot of the judges, I'm afraid, are just as anti-worker as a lot of the other politicians. 972-647-1893 is the number if you want to call. Just on the National Labor Relations Board, the communication workers have been meeting with senators and trying to get this done, and they are calling out, "Give us 5, get them all confirmed so they can get to work and settle some of the problems that working people have with their bosses." Workers are urging their senators to confirm the bipartisan package of nominees to the National Labor Relations Board as soon as possible. They're knocking on office doors and hitting the phones. If you haven't told your senator you want to see all 5 nominees confirmed, here's the number you can call. This comes from the Communication Workers of America. It's 1-888-717-0911. So that's a free call, right, Bonnie?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it is.
888-717-0911. This is Bonnie's union. And there's another way you can do it, and that's online. You go to www.nlrbcall.org and let your senators know that you'd like to have all 5 of these people confirmed for the National Labor Relations Board. I think that right now there's only 2, and the argument is that they don't have a quorum, so that anything they decide is not legal, or that's what some people are saying.
Right.
972-647-1893. Labor unions, more than any other institution in the United States, are responsible for creating and providing a pathway for more African Americans to enter the middle class. The Senate must protect all workers and help preserve a strong middle class by confirming all 5 members of the National Labor Relations Board. That's part of the statement from the NAACP, which has joined in on this issue. As we've made the point several times on the Workers' Beat, that the civil rights movement and the labor movement are very, very close allies and have some of the same exact ideas and same exact problems. I also would like to point out another victory that CWA is trumpeting: no knives on planes.
Yay!
You want to go over that?
Sure. I was so pleased. When the I guess it was the TSA. Yes, the TSA. I get all these.
Transportation
Security Administration. They decided that it was okay to bring knives on planes. And CWA and our flight attendants across the country banded together, got a petition started asking them to reconsider that. They rescinded their decision and thought about it, and yesterday came back and said, we're not going to allow knives on planes.
Well, that's a good thing. I
Yes,
mean,
it's a great thing.
the knives that they were going to allow, they said they were little knives, so they wasn't going to do anything. But you could put a little knife on a stick,
A knife is a knife.
and then it's a spear.
There you go.
So you don't want to have any knives on airplanes,
No.
and certainly the flight attendants don't want to.
Heavens.
So they won that one.
Yes.
That's a minor victory, but it's a good one.
Every victory is a victory, you know.
Yeah, and if we weren't organized, we wouldn't have any victories. It wouldn't. It's not like one flight attendant went up and said, "Oh, look, I want to point out the error of your ways." They had to organize, and I believe there's something like 90,000 strong in the coalition of flight attendants unions
I believe so. Yeah.
that made up this hue and cry, and got the knives taken off planes. So, public safety wins another round.
Yay.
972-647-1893 if you're interested in getting out your opinion on workers' beat issues or whatever you've got going on with your own boss and your own workplace. Are you getting organized over there? If you're not, you're falling behind, because everybody in America essentially is falling behind. The statistics show that our wages are not keeping up, and have not been keeping up for some time now. And you can expect to continue going backwards until we get organized.
That's right.
972-647-1893. Now I want to talk about redistricting. 'Cause I know you sat through a whole bunch of the redistricting hearings on Friday.
That's 2.5 hours of my life I will never get back.
That was half of it, because it was 5 hours long.
Yeah, it went till 7 p.m. I had signed up to speak, but unfortunately had to leave before they called my name. And I guess they got around to me twice, but I still didn't get I wasn't there. Bill Betson was there for the entire thing. He's very involved, has been very involved in the redistricting process locally, and he has some very strong opinions about how it should be done. But the hearings, this is a special committee on redistricting, a House committee, Texas House Committee on Redistricting. Oh my gosh!
And I want to point out too, Bonnie, that there wouldn't have even been any hearings. Because when they first announced this, the governor said, "I'm going to call a special session. I'm going to make the legislators stay in Austin until I get what I want." And what I want is I want them to ratify the present districts as they stand just now.
Which were interim districts drawn by a San Antonio court.
Right. The San Antonio court amended what the legislature had done in the last session.
Right.
And what the legislature had done in the last session had already been held by the federal government to be blatantly racist.
Blatantly.
So the San Antonio court amended them somewhat and said, okay, these are just interim maps for redistricting, and
so that you can get on with your elections.
Yeah, because it was almost election time.
Yes.
So then they got on with the elections, and now the legislature and the governor have said, okay, we're going to make those maps permanent, and we're going to just do it right now.
Yeah.
Well, there was a hue and cry. And people
God.
and newspaper editors and spokespersons got up and said, well, we don't want to just settle for this. We would rather have at least have some kind of a chance to have some input. So they gave in, and they set up hearings around the major cities. Ours in Dallas was in Friday, and this brings us to when Bonnie took her seat.
Thursday.
Was it Thursday? I'm sorry.
Sir. Thursday. It began a little after 2 o'clock. Most of the members and the chair they're Republicans. We do have a smattering of Democrats. Yvonne Davis is the co-chair. The chairman, or the vice chair, sorry, the chairman announced that the Ledge Committee had appointed him, and him alone, counsel, an attorney. And there were several objections to him having an attorney and nobody else having an attorney in the room. So it ended up, after going back and forth for a while, the attorney was asked to leave. So nobody had an attorney present. Several people got up and read prepared statements. One of the Collin County commissioner, a Collin County commissioner, an African-American man, spoke very eloquently, but unfortunately it was a prepared statement. And when he was questioned about it, he really could not answer any of the questions. And one of the folks on the commission said, so really you're not prepared to discuss it. You just got up here and read what they told you to read. And it was very embarrassing for him because that's exactly what had happened. And unfortunately, that's what happens a lot because the right wants to plant people to keep their own party and their own agenda going forward. And it's sad. It's really sad. And unfortunately, Democrats are in the minority throughout the House of Representatives and the Senate here in Texas. So we have to literally fight for democracy. And that's democracy with a little d, not a big D.
Right.
Here, and a lot of the talking points that I saw from the left said, we know that you're going to go ahead and do whatever you want to, no matter, you could have 5, 10, 15, 25 hearings, but we know that you're going to go ahead and do whatever you want to do. And that's exactly true.
Right.
Exactly true.
The thing I noticed when I first walked in, Bonnie, was that almost everybody up front, with the exception of Yvonne Davis, almost everybody up front was white men. And almost everybody in the audience was women and minorities. Mm-hmm. And the place was packed.
Well, Roberto Alonso's on there. Rafael Anchia is on there, but he was not there.
I see. I did see Roberto. You're right.
Yeah, and Trey Martinez, who is another, I think he's from San Antonio, I'm not sure. So there are some Latinos on the council.
But it was
the majority is white men. Old white men.
And the audience, nearly all women and minorities.
Yep.
And I'm proud to say this, that it was packed.
Yes.
There was standing room
only.
And this was, when I was there, it was when people were still working, so people hadn't gotten off work yet. And so I'm sure it was really packed between 5 and 7 before it closed.
Yeah.
But the response was really very good, and we only had a couple of days.
Yeah.
Because they weren't going to have hearings.
That's right.
And then the pressure grew until they finally decided that they were going to have hearings. So people turned out, and I think it shows that people are really for democracy.
Yes, and they're starting to, I pray, they're starting to wake up.
It's pretty clear that the majority of the legislature is not for democracy. And you've even had one guy last week came out and said we don't want black people to vote.
Yes. I saw that.
Republicans.
Oh my God.
That was something. They're playing that music. We have to take a break.
Okay.
Be right back.
Something seemed kind of strange. My buddy Joe was missing.
The Dallas Summer Food Program is returning this summer. The DISD Food and Child Nutrition Services, the Texas Department of Agriculture, and other sponsors are working together to offer the Summer Food Service Program from June 17th to August 2nd for Dallas children. Meals and snacks will be provided to children's ages 1 through 18 at specific sites throughout Dallas. To find out more info, the phone number is 211, or their website is squaremeals.org. Or their text keyword is FoodTX at 877-877.
When they're gone for good. This is Scott from KNON's Texas Blues Radio telling you don't miss out on some great blues. KNON's Texas Blues Radio Volume 5 Blues CD. It's a CD put together by real blues fans for real blues fans like you. Texas Blues Radio Volume 5 features great local blues from Michael J. and the Paul Bird Band, JJ and the Detonators, the Chris Watson Band, the Two Tones, Rough Cut Blues Band, Jeff Stone with Charlie Love, Dave Millsap, Sirloin and the Ass Kicking Machine, Tutu Jones, Blues Boy Bo, Buddy Whittington, Andrea Dawson, Kirkland James, Sonny Colley, and Johnny Red and the Roosters. Get a copy now at Forever Young Records in Grand Prairie, Record Town in Fort Worth, and in Dallas at Bill's Records. This is a Dallas Blues collector's item. A very limited amount of vinyl copies can be found at Forever Young Records, the sponsor of this great blues project. CD downloads are available at cdbaby.com. Whether you get it as a download, on vinyl, or on CD, all the proceeds will benefit KNON. For more info on Texas Blues Radio Volume 5, visit knon.org.
Blue Monday, how I hate Blue Monday. Got to work like a slave all day.
Yes, you do.
Here come Tuesday, oh Tuesday. I'm so tired, got no time to play.
I'm always tempted to just be quiet and just listen to this.
I know.
I love Fast Domino and I love Blue Monday.
Me too.
972-647-1893 is the number. We've been talking mostly about the redistricting hearings because they are very, very critical to what's going to happen to the Texans. And I want to call attention to Congressman Mark Vesey because he got elected under these maps.
Yes.
One would think that he would just sit by quietly.
No.
But he didn't.
No.
He sent the young man, Alejandro Huckel, and Alejandro Huckel spoke up for another district. He said that we're not content to stay with these maps.
No.
And the thing Mark Vesey could have done very easily was just, lay behind the log and let that go by. So kudos to Congressman Mark Vesey.
And what we want, people say, well, what do you want? What do you want? We want
fair representation.
We want fair representation. I mean, the two districts, the District 30, which has been held by Congressman Eddie Bernice Johnson since 1992, very capable woman, awesome woman. Now we have District 33, Mark Vesey, which is a hodgepodge of neighborhoods throughout Dallas and Fort Worth.
It's worse than just a hodgepodge.
Oh.
What they did was they took a large section of African Americans and threw them in with the large sections of Latinos and said, "Here, fight it out."
Yeah, here's your district.
There should have been one Latino and one black.
Actually, there should be two African American and one Latino. We would like to see a third
in the
district.
state, yeah.
Right. We want to see
in
it.
that area, there should have been one Latino and one black.
Right, and we would like to see the two districts, 30 and 33. We'd like to see 33 actually made into a instead of a convoluted mess, actually some type of a district, and then have a district with parts of Tarrant County and parts of Dallas County that would be primarily a Latino district.
Yeah, and that's not just your opinion.
Oh, no.
That's Congressman Vesey's for that.
Exactly.
I was very, very impressed that he sent somebody to speak up for that.
He's a good man.
So the whole process is a really good marks, high marks for the Texas people for turning out and saying what they want.
Yes.
And really, really low marks for the legislators who intend actually to go right ahead and do what they said they were going to do.
Yeah, it was very apparent. In fact, before we went into the hearing, some of the leaders in Dallas of several different groups said, we don't want to. They're going to try to antagonize us. These guys on this committee are going to try to antagonize us and ask us pointed questions, and this is our recommendation that you should just say, I've given my testimony, that's all I have to say. Instead of trying to banter with these guys. I mean, it's really, in a hearing like this, it's not worth your blood pressure getting up. It's really not. Some of the smaller hearings that take place in Austin at different committees, now those are the good places to really get into it with some of these guys and state your points. But a meeting like this is really just I'm giving you my testimony, I'm done.
Also on Thursday, right before the redistricting, there was a meeting of the Texas Alliance for Retired Americans Dallas chapter.
There was a good turnout.
We meet at your hall.
You do.
Had a pretty good turnout. And we sang our song, which was pretty good, and that's on video. It's the Texas Alliance for Retired Americans anthem.
That Gene wrote, I might add.
Which I wrote. I'll take credit for it. 972-647-1893 if you'd like to take credit, or just let us know what you think. Anyhow, the seniors are getting ready to protest massively all over the United States. They're going to protest some proposed cuts to Social Security. Now, the unfortunate thing, the outrageous thing about these cuts is that they aren't just coming from Republicans, they're also coming from Democrats, including the top Democrat. So the chained CPI, as it is called, is a disguised way of offering cuts to Social Security. What it does is it would change the way they figure the annual raises.
Yeah, I like to say it's a new way to screw old people.
Most people don't. Most people don't know the phrase COLA, cost of living allowance.
Right.
Most people in America do not get a cost of living allowance.
Right.
Some union members do get a cost of living allowance, and thank goodness seniors do. At the end of the year, where they figure out how much inflation has gone up, and they get a small raise to their Social Security check, which is the way it must be, because otherwise they would eventually starve, because inflation makes your money worth less every year.
That's right.
So the change CPI would be a way of cutting that increase, and it's a very, very bad idea. So at our meeting on Thursday at your union hall, we were making a little paper change, because we're going to chain ourselves, I think, to the gates or something. On July the 2nd, retirees across the United States are going to be opposing this or any other cuts in Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, and our pensions, because the right to retire is on the sacrificial altar in the United States and all over the world.
Oh, yeah.
Seniors cannot afford higher medical expenses. The new report, called Financial Security of Elderly Americans at Risk, says that proposed changes to Social Security and Medicare would make the majority of seniors economically vulnerable. The Economic Policy Institute director, his name is Elise Gold, wrote that most seniors, 48% of America's seniors, are economically vulnerable, meaning that they are either in poverty or just one bad economic shock away from significant material hardship. In other words, if their car broke down, they would be about done. They'd be in poverty.
Or if they got sick, one of them got sick.
Poverty is actually a number, I mean, they have a series of numbers as to how low your income has to be before they consider you in poverty.
And tell me again, when was the last time that we looked at those numbers?
And changed them?
And changed them. Wasn't it like back in the 60s?
I wouldn't be surprised. Poverty is, you have to be really, really poor to qualify for what the federal government calls poverty. And they are, and most seniors, it turns out 48% of the seniors are either already there or very, very, very close. So any cut to Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid or our pensions would be devastating to 48% of the people of age 65 and older. The majority of elderly women are particularly vulnerable.
Yes.
For one thing, they don't get as much Social Security.
Right. because they didn't work as hard as their husbands.
Yeah, because sometimes women didn't have a complete
Job
work history.
Right, right.
Because
they worked inside the home for many, many years, and then maybe didn't go out to work outside the home until they were in their 30s or 40s.
This is the kind of thing that we bring up all the time on the Workers' Beat. Maybe you're not elderly, or maybe you don't ever intend to retire. Maybe you're young and you think you're bulletproof and that you'll live forever. But
that too shall pass.
But solidarity is a concept that we are always preaching here on the Workers' Beat program. You may not be old, but other people are.
And you will be someday.
You may not be disabled, but other people are.
That's right.
You may not have gotten hurt on the job, but other people did. And if we don't stick together, then we're not gonna. None of us are going to do better.
We won't survive.
How's the saying go? Was it Pastor? No, I can't remember the guy's name. The saying goes, first they came for the communists, but I wasn't a communist, so I didn't care. And then they came back after the homosexuals, but I wasn't a homosexual, so I didn't care. And then they came after something else and something else and something else, and it finally gets to the end of it, and he says, and then when they finally came after me, there was nobody that I could ask for help, because they had already took everybody else.
Yeah.
So solidarity is the idea of sticking together, because working people have a lot in common. basically that we like good wages and good pensions and good health care.
Education for our children,
Right.
and a roof over our heads that we can afford. It's basic human rights.
Everything that we're for, and it's always a big shock to find out the corporations are against it.
Certainly, and how
We
can
think
it be a shock?
everybody is for these things,
Right.
and
the people who have it and know that they have enough money, they will never have to worry about those things. They don't care about you
well,
for the most part.
and especially after they've formed a corporate form of management, because the corporation itself, even though the Supreme Court thinks it's a people,
Yes.
they're not people.
No, they're not
And
people.
they do not care about human welfare.
Nope.
So the fight is on between the people, those of us who care about each other, and basically against the corporations.
And there's more of us than
Not-
there are of them.
972-647-1893 is the number if you have an opinion, or if you think we're way off, you can call us and correct us. This solidarity leads me to talking about the immigration issue, because there's some 11 or 12 million workers in the United States that have the same interests you do.
Yep.
They're interested in making good wages and feeding their children, having good education, all the things that Bonnie just listed. They're the same as us.
That's right.
They're working people, and yet they're forced to work for the very lowest wages in the most unsafe conditions, and no benefits and no possibility of ever getting a pension or Social Security. People think, for some reason, people make up stories and say that Mexican immigrants come to the United States and get welfare, or that they get Social Security. Or
I love
something.
that. Yeah, I love all
The
those.
truth is, they're not
They get
they don't
nothing.
qualify for anything.
They get nothing.
Well, they can send their kids to school,
They can, but they pay taxes.
and when they're bleeding to death, they can go to
Parkland.
Parkland. The other big story that they tell is that Mexican immigrants don't pay any taxes.
That's such a lie.
That is such a lie. I mean, try to get a paycheck without paying
Right.
taxes. Anybody?
And their government has ways for these people to file income tax.
They pay Social Security, and this has been shown that they contribute tremendously to Social Security and
That's
Medicaid, Medicare, and then they don't get it.
They can't even apply for it.
So that's all excess that goes into somebody else's Social Security check,
Right.
Because Mexican immigrants can't get it. So there's a lot of just plain outright lies about this situation, but what it really comes down to is solidarity. You're either for working people or you're for the corporations.
That's right.
And
You
we
can't
here
sit on the fence on this one.
we're on the workers' beat here. We're for the working people, and that means the working people have to pull together, and that means pulling together with the immigrants.
Yes.
So a lot of people don't get that, and it's okay if you have another opinion or something you'd like to express your opinion. 972-647-1893. One of the ways people get around this is they say, "Well, I'm not racist. I'm not racist. I just hate Mexicans." You know.
Yeah. I always like that one.
Yeah.
Or I have a lot of friends that are black.
Yeah, all right, yeah. We had a maid in my house, you know,
That's right.
and we just treated her like a member of
She
the
was
family.
just like family. Oh,
I've
Lord.
heard that so many times.
Oh, me too.
Well, it's the same with
how
the-
sweet.
It's the same with the immigrants, you know. They say, "Well, I don't hate immigrants." In fact, we got 10 of them working on my farm,
You know, and a lot of
mowing
these,
my lawn.
and I love my neighborhood. Our neighborhood is very diverse. It's
That's in
mostly
Pleasant Grove,
in
right?
Pleasant Grove, mostly Latin American, Hispanics. Everybody takes care of what they have. We have a man who he has a business. Jose, he has a business. He lives catty corner from us. He's a tree and yard guy. He does folks' yards in the neighborhood, but mostly he works outside the neighborhood. But he is an incredible man that will do anything for anybody. He was burglarized here a few months ago. Somebody pulled into the alley behind his house, opened his gate, hurt his dog to where the dog couldn't bark and get after him, hooked up a trailer to or hooked up one of his trailers to the back of a truck and took off.
Stolen.
And the police, 4 days before they even came out.
We'll have to take a break. We'll be right back.
Tell you all a story that's close to me. A worker who's leaning on a bended knee, soiled and tattered in search of relief, fighting for some unspoken belief.
Hi there, this is Short Stay, inviting you to my R&B guitar party on Father's Day, Sunday, June the 16th at Poor Davis Pub, starring George Stansdale, Cookie McGee, Jimmy Preacher Ellis, Sam Whitaker, and Chester Burns, featuring Jewel, for a Sunday evening of fine rhythm and blues guitar.
Included is a free chicken dinner courtesy of Henderson Chicken while it lasts, so get there early to eat. Doors open at 4 p.m. Tickets are available now at knon.org. Bill's Records and Forever Young Records in Grand Prairie. Poor David's Pub is located at 1313 South Lamar in Dallas on the south side.
Make this a Father's Day to remember with George Stansdale, Cookie McGee, Jimmy Preacher Ellis, Sam Whitaker, and Chester Burns, featuring Jewel and me. Short Stay at my R&B guitar party on Sunday, June the 16th at Poor Davis Pub. This is a KNON benefit event.
Tickets are also available at the new location of Henderson Chicken at Walnut Hill Lane in 35 and at the Henderson Chicken on Grand Avenue.
Saturday, June 15th, Recycle Revolution's second annual Earth Day after party with live music from local bands including All Lit Up, Beer Gnomes, Dallas Drum D-Jam, and more, along with artists, a ping pong tournament, recycling and waste themed movies, an aquaponics display, interactive vendors, local crafts, tours of the Recycle Revolution facility, children's upcycling workshops, local beer, and food. It's an all-day, all-night event starting at 12 noon. Recycle Revolution is located at 1703 Chestnut Street in Dallas. For more information, recyclerevolutiondallas.com.
I wake up in the morning at 4:45. The alarm clock is relentless, for goodness sakes alive. Back to the old bar.
We're back on the Workers Beat, and the number is still 972-647-1893 if you'd like to get in your 2 cents. We've been talking about the immigrants' rights movement and the fact that the Senate is considering, as we speak, they're considering an immigrant reform bill. And certainly the Obama administration is hoping to put that a notch on their gun to get a serious immigration reform done, because it's way, way, way overdue. Meantime, Richard Trumka, who is the president of the AFL-CIO, and I guess one would say he's the leader of the labor movement in the United States, or for most of us, he's considered the leader of the labor movement, or the most outstanding spokesperson. And he and Simone Campbell made a statement together. Now, Simone Campbell's the nun on the bus.
That's right.
One of the nuns on the bus, and they say don't fall for the false choices on immigration. As Washington pundits size up the political pitfalls and payrolls of immigration reform, let's not forget that fixing a broken immigration system is fundamentally about protecting family values and defending the dignity of workers. We are inspired to support common sense reform that includes an earned path to citizenship because of our Catholic faith and the moral example set by our own immigrant families. I didn't know Trumka was a Catholic.
I didn't either.
Well, now we know.
Now we know.
Scripture reminds us to care for the weak and love the migrants among us. Joseph, a carpenter who knew about a hard day's work, this is St. Joseph we're talking about. He was a migrant who journeyed across the border with Mary. In the parable of the Good Samaritan, Jesus taught timeless lessons about seeking justice for our neighbors on the margins. Those who are left abandoned on the side of the road today include the estimated 11 million undocumented immigrants toiling in the shadows without opportunities to earn legal status. Comprehensive reform is not amnesty, as some opponents of sensible reform claim. It is a practical, humane response to a dysfunctional immigration system that should shame us as a nation.
Yes, it should.
Continuing what Richard Trumka and Simone Campbell said, For at least the past decade, a broad coalition of religious, labor, and business leaders has made the case that a great country can't claim to be a beacon of freedom and opportunity while separating immigrant parents from their children and exploiting workers. Despite the best efforts of demagogues who trade in ugly myths, division, and distortion, our movement remains strong, diverse, and united. It combines the visions of young immigrant dreamers, fiscally minded CEOs, workers' rights advocates, and faith leaders. This is a formidable force that will not be turned back. It's time to reject false choices. We can protect our borders at the same time that we provide an earned path to citizenship for millions of undocumented immigrants. We can protect both American-born workers and aspiring Americans by reforming our current immigration policy, which is a blueprint for manipulation and abuse by corporate employers.
It's a mess. It's a mess.
The bad thing is, like we were talking about Walmart workers, the company may not have intended a lot of the bad things that happen, but when you set up a system where the bosses have so much power, you're just inviting corruption.
That's right.
And the whole immigration system is like that, because if you go down and hire somebody to mow your lawn, and you're just hiring an immigrant, you're the boss, he's the worker, and the system is open to corruption.
Absolute power
and
builds absolute corruption, or corruption
something like
absolutely
that.
Something like that.
Corruption and power, they go together.
Oh, yes.
So a better immigration reform system is important, and I hope you noticed in the statement from Richard Trumka and Sister Simone Campbell that they kept talking about an earned path to citizenship.
Right.
You want to try explaining that? What's an earned path to citizenship?
I think it's based on how long you've been here, and I'm really.
You have to stay out of trouble.
Yes, you have to stay out of trouble.
You can't be a criminal.
You can't be a criminal. You have to, abide by the laws of the country.
You have to work.
You have to work and pay your taxes and do everything that everybody else does.
Don't beat your wife.
Don't beat your wife, right? Don't beat your wife. Don't kick your dog. All that stuff.
And over a period of time, what they're saying is that an immigrant should have a way to become a citizen.
But it has to work. We have people. I met a lady several months ago. Her parents brought her here as an infant. She has been trying to get citizenship for 27 years, and there's no telling how many thousands of dollars she's paid to stay.
Sure. And when you get right down to it, most Americans their antecedents came here as immigrants. I'm German. The Germans came in the 1850s, I think, more than any other time. A lot of Irish came in. The English, of course, I think were the first colonists in what we now think of as the United States. Generally speaking, they were immigrants at one time or another, and it used to be easy to get in. It's been worse over the last few years, and actually the corporations have made it worse because of NAFTA. NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, or what they call free trade, actually made conditions in Mexico a lot worse, and so a lot of people who were used to making a living on the land, farm workers, people who had a small farm or worked on farms, lost their jobs as the big corporations went in and took over agriculture in Mexico. So they were forced to either starve or try to get to the United States. And you hear some really horrible stories about what happens to people as they try to get to the United States. There are all kinds of gangs operating on these
prey on these people.
There are gangs on the railroads and corrupt officials doing all kinds of horrible things to them, taking their daughters and turning them into sex slaves, beating and killing them, robbing them, and then if they manage to get across the desert and they don't die in the desert and get here, then of course they're standing on the street corner
waiting for somebody to give them a job.
Yeah, hoping to get something. Even might be a college graduate, but is still looking for work mowing somebody's lawn.
That's right.
So it's a very, very tough situation, and it's open to all kinds of abuse. So to their credit, the better people in Congress are trying to come up with some reform, and that's pretty much what we're for.
Yes.
Which brings us to the nuns on the bus.
Nuns on the bus.
The Catholics. There are a lot of Latinos are Catholics.
Yes.
And so the Catholics have taken it upon themselves, or these particular nuns have taken it upon themselves, to take a bus ride across the United States and hold little publicity places everywhere. This is why you should come, because it helps build their support.
Yes.
For immigration reform.
And it helps the visibility of what to get the word out of what these ladies are doing.
I don't know if the television people will come, because the television here in the North Texas is not famously.
It's crappy.
They're not famously progressive.
I would
and pro-worker.
If Univision and what's the other? Telemundo. If they've been notified, I would think that they would be there.
I would think so.
They're very good about covering stuff that actually is important to working people.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I noticed Channel 23 was out for our Walmart action last Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
And they were the only ones.
Yeah.
So they're the best. But, I'm not trying to blame media people, because actually they do what they're told.
That's right. They work for somebody.
Big corporations own those media. So, nevertheless, if they do show up, and if there's nobody there, they're not going to use the story. It won't be on television tonight. It won't see, millions of people won't see it. So try to come, even though it may be a little out of your way. I mean, I don't actually know anybody that lives up there on Highway 630. Or 635? 635. LBJ Freeway.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't actually know anybody that lives up there.
No.
But that's where they're going.
And if you can get there with...
maybe a drive from Pleasant Grove or Oak Cliff.
But if you can get there without getting on 635, that's probably a really good idea.
Well, on Saturday it shouldn't be too bad.
No, they have construction every day.
Well, the nuns on the bus are going to be at 3 o'clock today. And here's the address one more time. 9461 LBJ Freeway.
Abrams.
That is 635, right?
Yes.
Okay. 635 and Abrams on the northeast corner. And I understand there's a big Chase Bank there, and right next to it is Catholic Charities. Now, that's a place where immigrants go to get information and get help. So I guess it's a good choice for a place for them to go, but I wish they'd come to Oak Cliff.
Yeah,
tell
me
you
too.
The truth.
Me too.
972-647-1893 if you're interested, if you want to give your opinion on something. And we certainly encourage it. The station really likes it when people call. 972-647-1893. So the nuns on the bus will be at 9461 LBJ Freeway today at 3 o'clock. I plan to be there. I'll be just one of the people standing there watching. And I hope you'll be there too.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that they get some immigration reform done. But even more than that, I'm hoping that more Americans will see the need for solidarity. We'll see the need that if we don't stand together, we're going to fall down together. We're going to fall down together. We're going to keep sinking if we don't start to buoy each other up, and that has to be done.
United we bargain, divided we beg.
That's right. And begging is pretty much what most
we're doing now.
Most of us are doing.
That's what we're doing in Texas. I'll tell you.
Because we're not united enough.
We are not united enough, and we have got to get that way. We have got to make things better. I think we got back $2-3 billion into education through this legislative session. Oh my Lord! They took $5.4 billion. I think they gave us 3.2, something like that.
I heard 3.9.
3.9. Okay. Well, it's still not enough. But unfortunately, public schools are going to have to do what they can with what they have.
The suffering continues. Now, here's a rumor I would like to check out and see if anybody can call and tell us if this is true, or if you know, Bonnie, if this is true, that the Koch brothers are buying up newspapers. Have you heard that?
I did hear that, but I've not seen anything concrete other than that.
Well, I got an email that says they are trying to buy up the biggest newspapers in the United States, like the Los Angeles Times, the Chicago Tribune, the Baltimore Sun, and dozens of others. The Koch brothers are infamous for financing the most anti-worker activities that have been taking place in the United States.
Yes, sir.
Koch is spelled Koch, so it looks like Koch.
Yep.
But
Koch Industries.
They're oil men.
Yep.
And they have financed everything from the John Birch Society to the present day anti-worker activities in state legislatures and in politics. And now they're trying to buy out the media, or so I'm told. If somebody can call and confirm that, it would be fine. 972-647-1893. Another thing I'd like to point out is the Spectator mine disaster took place on June the 8th. I wish we could celebrate and commemorate all of the things that have happened in worker history, but we point out one or two when we can here on the Workers' Beat. The Spectator mine disaster killed 168 people. Wow. They were blocked in. They were copper miners in Butte, Montana, and they were blocked in, and when they finally found their bodies, they had no fingernails because they had tried to dig their way out with their fingernails, and so their hands were all bloody before they suffocated. The miners, the Western Federation of Miners, immediately demanded safety. The corporation said, "Oh, well, you don't need safety because we're about to have a war." This is World War I. And so we're about to have a war, so it's your patriotic duty to get back in there and dig up that copper.
Because we need it for ammunition.
We're not going to do anything about the safety.
Yeah.
And Frank Little was a member of the Industrial Workers of the World. He was actually chairman of the board. And he went up there and he made a speech. He said, "To hell with you, and to hell with the war, and to hell with the corporations." Well, that night they took Frank Little out and put a noose around his neck and tied the other end to the bumper of a car, dragged him up and down the streets of Butte, Montana. That was the Anaconda copper mine that was the big influence up there. And that. So that happened on June the 8th in 1917, the Spectator mine disaster. Frank Little wasn't killed until August the 1st because of all kinds of stuff happened after June the 8th. Also during June, the Industrial Workers of the World came out. They discussed coming out against the war and decided not to. And
he didn't die from being drugged up and down the street?
Nobody knows, because after they dragged him up and down the street, they hanged him from a railroad trestle and then shot him. So they found his body hanging there the next day. What gets you about it is, didn't anybody say anything?
Obviously not.
What about the authorities?
Where was the sheriff or whatever?
Didn't he scream or something as they dragged him up and down the streets?
Man.
But people get scared, and people are pretty scared of their bosses. You can't blame them. The bosses got a lot of power.
That's why you need a union.
And they're ruthless. They're absolutely ruthless.
Yes, they are. Even with the union, they're tough. Let me tell you. Even with the union, it's tough sometimes.
I want to give one more plug for the Nuns on the Bus.
Yes.
As I see Jim Schute's coming. And you want to do the plug?
No, go ahead.
Well, I've got the place here. It's 3 o'clock today at the Catholic Charities Immigration and Legal Services Office, 9461 LBJ Freeway. 9461 LBJ Freeway. Nuns on the Bus. Also, later on today, you can celebrate the life of Medgar Evers at 3 o'clock at the Pan-African Connection, 828 4th Avenue, and that's the number is 214-943-8262. One last thing is on Wednesday, June 19th at 9 a.m., the Texas Alliance for Retired Americans is going to form a new chapter in Fort Worth. We're forming chapters right and left.
That's awesome.
And this will be, Jim Rivers is going to do this. He's a member of CWA 6201. That's where they're going to meet. It's at 421 South Adams in the Hospital District of Fort Worth.
And if anybody is looking for a forever friend, that would be a dog, please come out to 6060 East Mockingbird from 12 to 4 today. We have great pets for adoption.
Adopt a pet.
Adopt a pet.
And stick together with the other workers. We'll be back next week.
KNON 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to KNON.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.